News Panorama is a TV news magazine program that gives you the story behind the story.
It tells the stories the way they should be told by capturing the larger scale.
It deals with people's deep feelings on issues that, when brought to the fore, ultimately educates, informs, and entertains.
News Panorama. Capture the larger scale.
Your gutter system plays a huge role in protecting your home foundation from damage. Without it, your foundation has no guard against pooling water during heavy rainfall. Clunge gutter make attractive hangout for pests and rodents. This can be a serious health hazard for your family and also lead to a number of other damages associated with pest infestation. These and many more are on our lineup for today. Welcome and thanks for joining me on the program. I am Josephine Efanga. One of the many ways to prepare for rainy season is to get the gutters cleaned out and refuse properly disposed of. Improper waste disposal is being known to cause flooding and increase of cases of various ailments. The organization reports on clogged up gutters filled with refuse.
For many residents, the advent of the rainy seasons herald fear. People tend to use the adventure of the rains to dump and dispose refuse, plastics in the gutters, causing blockage, floods, and health problems. Investigations by the News Panorama reveals that the waste bins were taken from its designated place. Thus, disposing refuse is a bit challenging. Visit to major and minor areas in Calabar showed the place is filled with refuse, posing potential hazards to residents. A resident of the area noted that blames would be at the feet of the resident, who will wait until it rains before they go and dispose the refuse by putting them in the gutters. At some point, the dirt stocks and everywhere ends up flooded, hence becomes unbearable. While sensitizing residents on the dangers of indiscriminate dumping of refuse, especially this rainy season, they appealed to the government to look into the provisions of more waste bins, especially in the local areas.
The rainy season is approaching, especially in Calabar South, where refuse bins are not being kept, and people are taking advantage of dumping refuse into the gutter, which is not good. I need everybody to be proactive based on that, and I also urge the government to do something about it, keeping the waste bin in their prosperous places.
Idong Aslese reporting for News Panorama.
The General Assembly of the United Nations have declared May 8 and 9 as a period of reconciliation to tackle the recent increase of conflict in the society. Some survivors of the Nigeria and Biafra war have shared their experiences and seek for ways forward. Our correspondent Victor Ekanam went around Calabar Metropolis to sample opinions of citizens, especially those who witnessed war. The reports. The General Assembly of the United Nations have declared May 8 and 9 as a period for reconciliation. The day will be seen as a moment to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war and pay tribute to all victims of Second World War. It is also a day of reflection and call for member states to be united in their efforts in dealing in new security challenges and threats, as well as make every effort to settle all disputes by peaceful means. Narrating his experience during the Nigeria and Biafra war, one of the survivors, who is now a professor of medicine and clergy, Professor Chibueze Njoku, described the war as one of the most epic struggles for freedom and liberation in history, adding that its cost can still not be calculated.
The problem of war is that many people don't really understand what war is all about. You go and fight, you kill your brother who did nothing to you, you destroy your city, you destroy your bridges, which cost, some of them build these bridges with borrowed money, and you are destroying them to go and borrow again. And when you borrow, you don't even know when you will pay. War takes heads, and people should not rush into war.
Others recall that the war has brought untold sorrow and hardship to humankind and called on government, security agencies, and relevant authorities to ensure that citizens desist from all forms of conflict that may lead to war to enable the country move forward.
It is not all about war. Like presently, I know that there's war going on in so many places, even within the state. Just of recent, the last week, there was a problem in Bubra and other places. So it is not the best. This thing results to loss of lives, loss of properties, insecurity, and even the future is being threatened.
Those who died in war for their family in order to keep them, living and make them to survive, especially the orphans, the children. Many doesn't have a father.
I want to say that any nation, state that fears God, God will help them to maintain peace.
For CRBC News Panorama, I am Josephine Efanga. The United Nations has recognized youth as major human resource for development and key agents for social change, economic growth and technological innovation. However, getting involved in one skills or the other is a vital activities you should indulge in. Idong Silesian brings details.
Some persons have taken it upon themselves to be self-employed, while others are waiting for the government to create job opportunity. Well, over a few years now, many youth have been agitating for the involvement of youth in politics or political power, but however, being equipped with their own skills and business, thus establishing themselves, are versatile and should be portrayed.
Waiting for the government to give me a job, it might take some period of time. I don't have to wait for the government, so I'll be able to settle my bills in school and other challenges that comes along.
Advice to the unemployed citizens out there is do not wait for the government. In the country our government has not provided sensitives or the citizens to speak utilize and also put their talent into work.
Skills, businesses, self-employment, creativity amongst others are more of what is expected from youth, irrespective of gender, with the aim of creating job opportunities and curtailing unemployment.
Maybe if you go through that way, it will help you a lot so that it will reduce the risk of unemployment in the country. I want to advise them they should try and learn something skillful.
We are all sitting up here as Nigerians, as a government, as a president in Nigeria. You have to make sure that you provide incentives to your citizens to utilize their talents, and with that we can make a better Nigeria.
Speaking with the Chairman Youth Council, Mr. Dan Obo noted that it's a vice versa. The youth being involved in a skill, getting innovative, and then government, NGOs could play a role by being supportive. He added that just as the youth are always celebrated yearly, there are also yearly programs and initiatives organized by the government to the youth, while commending them to put on the hard work. Idong Silesian, News Panorama.
Coming up next is On the Spot with the General Manager of Cross River State Waste Management Agency, Honorable Sunday Oko. He tells us more on the importance of proper waste disposals and the role of citizens in keeping the society clean. Welcome to On the Spot on News Panorama. Today we are with the GM Waste Management, Honorable Sunday Oko. I am Josephine Efanga. So welcome to the show. This is News Panorama On the Spot. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, Josephine.
Okay, sir. So the tenor is rounding up. What area would you think that you have done better against the backdrop of what people are saying regarding the bad shape of waste in the states?
First, government is continuous. For my own assessment, or by my own assessment, we have done, we have done good. We have done well as far as waste evacuation is concerned in Cross River State. There's no way, no matter how you handle waste, that you can do or eradicate completely the problem in waste management. But I think we have done so well. If you look back to where we came in and where we are today, we have done tremendously well. Waste management is it's something that that comes with a special problems on its own. There's no well defined way or means of tackling waste. That you say, oh, this is the strategy that you are using that can give you the same result every day. Okay. Every day as you wake up, the challenges are different. It could be equipment, it could be cost of diesel, it could be funding, it could be the way people dump their waste, and there are some natural occurrences too that affect waste management. Sometimes the trees can fall down, you go to the dump site, There are times the rains will come and wash out all the waste and all of that, even on the streets. So waste management has a lot of components. You understand, the problems or the management of waste management is about 6 different components in waste management, and all of them are interwoven. You don't treat one and leave one.
Okay, so can you just tell us these components, sir?
The components I'm talking about, we talk of the landfill. You start from the landfill, because it's the landfill that will consume all the waste you are bringing from the city. So if the landfill is not ready to consume, no matter the number of trucks you put on the streets, you cannot achieve anything. Sometimes that is why when you go to Limna dump site, you see my trucks all line up. And when you see the trucks line up, you know that the dump site is not ready. Either the equipment is bad or the workers are on strike, because our workers, they have this attitude of every time demanding for increment because of the nature of job they are doing. You wake up in the morning, you go to dump site, all the workers are there, they are not working. And in the dump site or the waste management entirely, if you don't work like 1 or 2 days, it takes you 1 month to recover. Once you have overflow, it takes you 1 month to recover, because as you are evacuating, they are bringing more. So those are the things we are talking about. When you leave the dump site, you talk of the trucks, you talk of the dozer, you talk of the workers, you talk of the increment in diesel. So all those things must work together for you to achieve and have maximum work duty.
Okay, sir. What would you say is your biggest challenge in office?
My biggest challenge is the dump site. That dump site was created in 2010. The population has increased. The refuse generation has increased. The traffic along the road has increased. Just imagine a truck that is traveling from Anantiga to the dump site. It takes you 1 hour because of the traffic. When that dump site was created in 2010, there were no houses along the dump site. The dump site was just right inside the bush. The traffic was less. The refuse on the street was less. Everything. Now we have more hotels, more eateries, more filling stations, more markets, more residential areas coming up, satellite town and all of that. So, and the dump site is still the size of the dump site we have. We have tried to relocate the dump site to a bigger place. No community is ready to give us land. Where we got land now is in Udupani, and the traveling distance for one truck to leave Anantiga and go to Udupani and come back will take a whole day. So how many times are you going to run? So we have issue at the dump site. So we need to relocate the dump site to a place, to a bigger place that can consume more waste that we're bringing. Now, if you go to dump site, even the trucks, they take turn to discharge. They will go and park and be going in turn, because the place is narrow, the place is filled, the place is filled. So we need a bigger area. We've gone to Edundu, we've gone to part of Calabar South, we've gone to NTA and all of that, looking for where to locate the dump site. It's not working. So it's a challenge. It's a big challenge. It's not all about funding anyway. You can have all the resources and those other variables are not available. You still have the same problem.
Most of the refuse are primarily within the market areas like Goldie, Wat Market, Mbupa and all that. Yet, there are revenues or taxes being collected from this market. As your office sort of partnering with these councils to know how they spend this fund and why refuse are being packed up around there like that?
When you talk of agencies collecting revenue in the market, we have different subheads. The waste management is our responsibility, and our duty is to evacuate waste. We don't collect revenue. The revenue we collect on waste evacuation is being contracted to vendors that drive this process on behalf of the states. The local government, they have their own revenue that they collect from the market. Sanitation, ticketing, and all of that. That is their bylaw, the local government bylaw. But as a state, our own, we call it refuse evacuation fee. That's what we collect. And it's not the waste management that is directly, involved in such collection. The collection of that fee through IRS, through SmartGov. So it doesn't come direct to waste management as funding that we can generate and use. We get our funding from the state. The payment of our contractors, oversight and all of that. We get it from the states.
Okay, sir. So we have this refuse in the market. Like you said, the council chairmen are collecting different taxes. Have your office had this meeting with the council to know how they spend this, because there's revenue for waste revenue in the market? Have your office as the GM Waste Management partner with this council chairman to know how they spend this money, because we see so much waste. By right, they would have been using this revenue to evacuate waste in the market.
What they collect has nothing to do with waste. The local council don't have any business with waste. Like I've said, they do their monthly sanitation. Every month they do sanitation. They put people to collect tickets at the toll and all of that. But when you talk of waste, the local government or the local council, they don't have any business with waste. They don't collect any revenue and you see they are collecting for waste. No, if they do that, it's illegal. The only agency that is saddled with the responsibility of collecting waste in the states and driving revenue on waste is Waste Management Agency.
Okay, so you mean that the sanitation fee doesn't include them evacuating waste from the market?
They don't even have the facility to evacuate waste, to even start with. The local government do not have facility to evacuate waste. So how do you evacuate waste when you don't have? Those being my agency's equipment. So how do they collect waste? They don't. They are not evacuating waste in any market.
Okay, sir, so has there been any enlightenment program on proper waste disposal in Cross River State?
There are. Even in your radio station, I've run jingle and messages in all the radio stations, in platforms, and all of that. Enough, you know. And each time we're on radio, we talk to the public, not to deal with those people who come and say they are collecting money for waste. No. And for our vendors, they don't collect cash. They will give you a demand notice. There's a code. There's a code there. You go to the bank and pay. All we want is evidence of payment. But when you look at these local government people, they even force people to pay cash. They come with all amount of aggressiveness. They bring dogs and all of that. It's not waste management. And we have had calls to meet with the local council. You understand? I have met with the chairman, Calabar Municipality. I have met with chairman, Calabar South, late Esther of blessed memory. We have had joint meeting in the local government, in the Calabar Municipality local government. All tailored towards these people who move around. And there are a lot of this tout. They have my vest. They have that of local government. They have environment. When you see them with a waste management vest. You see them with environment vest. You see them, they are task force from Calabar South and all of that. And when they launch attack here, before you come, they are moved to another place with different vests. We don't enforce, we don't harass people. If you don't pay our refuse evacuation fee, the court will serve you paper. You go to court and pay. We don't harass people. We don't go to any shop. We only drop demand notice for you. We'll give you time to pay. If you don't pay, we will take you to court.
Okay, sir. So aside from the payment issue, has there been sensitization on proper waste disposal? Because we find out that so many people dispose refuse inappropriately. Has there been sensitization on proper waste disposal?
That's what I'm saying. Now, we have done the jingle. We have done so many of those. You see, the attitude of our people is just something you can't say. Sometimes they will go to the dump stand. They will look at the dump stand. They will decide to pour the refuse on the floor. And my trucks are skip trucks. So you see, when they come, they will spend like 30, 40 minutes scooping the refuse from the floor back to the bin before carrying the bin. You understand? So, and when you go there now, you see they push refuse with barrow. They will just come and dump it and go. We have arrested people. We have done all that. The attitude of our people is terrible. Okay, the waste we are talking about, the bin is in front of your house. Instead of putting it inside the bin, you drop it on the floor. Who is suffering it? Is it government?
Okay, sir. So how would you want to address Cross Riverians on the issue of refuse?
I always appeal to Cross Riverians to help us to serve them better. You understand? Because instead of spending 1 hour or 30 minutes in a particular location, because of the indiscriminate dumping of refuse, we'll spend 2 hours. So instead of a truck running 6 times per day to cover more grounds, the truck will run 2 or 3 times and we'll begin to experience overflow of refuse on our streets. You understand? So those are all the challenges we have in evacuating the refuse on our streets.
So let's pause a little. Let us play a video for you to watch and we'll be back.
Or 50% of the populace in Cross River, Calabar, could do this, the story would be different. This is the gentleman behind this activity you're seeing here, and it is not all. He has taken it upon himself to even plant flowers and beautify the area. Every open space he has seen, he has utilized it. He told me his name is Mr. Basi. Mr. Basi, can you tell us what motivated you to do what you're doing?
What motivated me to do what I'm doing, because the place was a forest. We normally see snakes around. So I decided as a florist to make sure that I pull out all the rubbish and make sure that I put grass for the place to be neat. Then the gutter too, snake almost height here, grass grows everywhere, even with the walkways. So I decided to look for small money, and anytime I have money, I make sure that they deseal, they come out the grass, they deseal the gutter. Because what we are doing now, we want the gutter to be fluid because this is the rainy season. But now the challenge we are having now is the evacuation of the dump. Because if the government can assist us to put a truck to make sure that they help us to evacuate the rubbish, at least the place will be fine.
Welcome back from this short break. If you are just joining us, you are watching On the Spot on News Panorama with the General Manager, Cross River State Waste Management Agency, Honorable Sunday Oko. Okay, sir, you've seen the video.
Yes, I have.
Has it been a situation where Cross Riverians like that man approach the agency or do it on their own by desilting gutters, evacuating refuse, and even planting flowers? Because at the end of the day, waste evacuation is not just for the government alone. It's also our civic responsibility.
Well, we encourage those kind of people in the states, good Samaritan. There's nothing wrong with somebody coming to assist government. There's just nothing wrong with it. But when you talk of desilting is not under waste management. Desilting is under Ministry of Environment. Planting of trees is under KUDA. So, but it's a cluster. What affects environment affects waste management agency and KUDA and even the urban authorities outside the states. Like I've said, there's nothing wrong with that. I live in the street. Sometimes I pay boys to work on my street. And when you're waiting for government, sometimes government may not come the time you want them to come. So as a good citizen, as a good Samaritan, and as somebody who has the interest of the state at heart, you may want to do all that. Sometimes people come to my office. Is there any way we can help? I have truck. I have this. We encourage them. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's not a bad idea. You know, like I've said, the silting is environment. The waste management agency is purely waste management. How to evacuate waste along our streets. You know, but once in a while, we have our cluster meeting in the Ministry of Environment, you know, presided by the commissioner. Because Ministry of Environment is the supervisory agency. We all fall under the Ministry of Environment. So once in a while, we have our cluster meeting and we discuss all those issues and the way forward and how to, you know, I can't just pass and I see gutter and say, no, it's a Ministry of Environment. If there's anything I can do, I do. The same thing with Ministry of Environment. Sometimes you see they're doing evacuation, doing intervention. So everything falls under environment, under the commissioner. So sometimes we overlap. We try to help. We try to assist to see how we can keep the state clean. If there are no waste along the road and the gutters are bad, it's still the same thing. If the gutters are clean and the waste are on the road, it's still the same thing. It has to do with environment.
Okay, so sir, we know that there's something bubbling your mind that you want to say. So you can use this opportunity, sir, to say it.
You know, it's just like we human beings. Nobody pray to get sick. But sometimes you wake up in the morning, you have typhoid, you have malaria, you have whatever. You know, when something is not a habit, you understand? Like I've said, waste management, there's no way you can run waste management from January to December without having challenges. So sometimes when we have challenges, the way people attack, the way people go to social media, the way people talk about it as if we are not doing anything, and once we clean the street, nobody will go back and say, oh, you have tried, oh, and all of that. But they will condemn, you understand? When you see that something is not the way it used to be, something abnormal, you should ask a resident, you ask yourself, what is the problem? It was not like this. What is bringing all this? Nobody. If you go to my bin stand, all those dump stands, you see there are numbers written on it. If you have a problem, even our jingle, we put our phone numbers for them to call and ask what the problem is and what to do. But perseverance will not do. We play politics with everything. Sometimes, let me shock you, we will clean up a bin in the night. We'll come in the morning, you see refuse. People will go and pay trucks to bring refuse and keep on the street and discredit government. It has happened.
Wow.
There was a time we had vehicles, more than 4 vehicles had accidents along a parliamentary extension. There's no waste management truck that will bring waste and keep on the center of the road. At night, more than 4 vehicles ran into that waste and entered the bush. We had to go and rescue them that night. So there is a lot of things going on. It's not just what you see on social media. They pay people to go and bring waste and keep on the street and play politics with it. It shouldn't do. It shouldn't be. You know, because today is the turn of Professor Ayade. Tomorrow is going to be somebody's turn. When we don't learn by doing the right thing, all of us will suffer it at the end of the day. We are talking of refuse. We are talking of the hazard that comes with refuse, the health hazard. And somebody is paying somebody to go and bring refuse to go and keep on the streets and then snap it and go and post. And some of the posts you see on social media are taken from other states. As I see it, if I see any location you post on social media, I know where it comes from because I know where my bean stands are all across the state. Some of the pictures I see on social media, they are not from Cross River State. They go to Aba, they go to Port Harcourt, they go to this, but what they do is that they just post it to discredit the government. And sometimes when you listen to radio, they are telling you that, oh, Wanse is bad. If you go to Wanse, it's clean. Somebody can pass in the morning along Mariam by the Young Shall Grow and see refuse because our trucks don't come out before 9 o'clock. And workers go to work in the morning. They will see all those refuse and take pictures. When they leave, the trucks will come and evacuate. They will not come back to find out whether the waste is there or not. The pictures they have, they will begin to post. But when you go there on ground, there's nothing to show that there's refuse in that location. So we need to educate ourselves. We need to always compare and cross-check our facts before going to social media. We don't do all that, you understand? So those are the challenges we have. They paint the whole thing as if we are not doing anything. It's not true. We are working. But like I've said, no matter how you work, you can't have 100%. There are other challenges that are faced with refuse management. But I think we have above 80%, which is good for us.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sondoko, General Manager, Cross River State Waste Management Agency, for coming on the show. Keep updates with us. We'll keep updating you on issues affecting Nigeria on Cross River State. I am Josephine Efanga. That is all we have on our lineup this week. We hope to be back same time next week. I am Josephine Efanga.